145 damage for 0 cost. That is insane. Welcome to day 2 of the Axie Origin launch week, and in this video I'll be covering the newly released Bug, Beast and Aqua Runes and Charms and how they make up some very interesting archetypes for Axie Origin's game. Before we get started, I just want to remind you that I'm running a competition in this launch week where you can win your own Axie Origin team. Just check out the link in the description and answer the question of the day from today's video. There's also 7 scholarships up for grabs, and if you want to win the Origin Axie team, you have to answer every single question of the day for this week. So go check out my previous video if you haven't yet. Right, let's start with the most interesting topic, which is the newly released runes. And the first beast rune we're looking at is Dominant Predator. Now, what I actually love about these charms is that they're giving you guidelines on what kind of team to build. Like this one, for example, we incentivize a team that can apply a lot of bleed to your opponents. But if we look at these abilities that apply bleed, it's only one beast card that actually does that. The most applied bleed effects actually come from the reptile and bug classes. So, although dominant power has a very strong effect, you'll have to build quite a unique team to draw all the value from it, and therefore I give it a 6 out of 10. Next up, we have Pangolin's Scale. I think this will highly favor aggro decks, which just want to fill their deck with all damage abilities and still give your beast some survivability. So overall, I like the concept. I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. Now, Reckless Hunter is an aggro player's absolute dream. I really want to see how this stacks up with all those Nutcracker cards, and I think the damage output is going to be massive. So I'm giving this rune a 8 out of 10. Now for Endless Anger. Now, to truly understand the power of this card, we need to understand what Rage does. Rage gives you 2 bonus damage per Rage stack, but with this charm, that becomes 3. When your Rage stack hits 10, your Axie goes into Fury mode, which gives you 1 bonus energy for that turn, and all the attacks do double the damage. Not only that, you also have the Imp card, which becomes a 0 cost card when you're in Fury mode. So basically, you're dealing 140 damage for 0 cost. Now, combine that with other 0 cost cards like Confident that give you 2 Rage stacks, and you should be able to reach Fury mode quite quickly. All in all, I see Endless Rage as being the strongest rune of the set, and it gets a 10 out of 10. You can see that the Beast runes really push for damage, and that's why I'm saying that Beast will probably lead to a aggro kind of archetype. Now for the Aqua runes, and starting with Bloodlust. Now, I'm assuming in the new game mode that your Axie can't exceed the max health that it has, which means that this ability will actually take some time before you see the value of it, and therefore I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. Now, Calcium Armor. Looking around, it seems like Aquas will cap out at about 500 HP. So this means 15 shield at the start of each turn. So I'm giving this one also a 7 out of 10. However, it does allow for an interesting archetype where you might be having frontline tanks as Aquas. Heart of the Ocean, I think this is the best Aqua rune because it basically gives you 225 additional HP, which is massive. 10 out of 10. The last Aqua rune is Hearty Warrior. This seems like 15 bonus damage per attack, which is quite a lot to be fair, but the devil is in the details, in the remaining HP part, which means when your Aqua starts losing health, you start losing the benefit from this card. So you would probably use this on a backline Aqua or someone that's more difficult to reach. Overall, I give it an 8 out of 10. So it seems like Aqua went for like the total opposite archetype to Beast, being much more of a control deck actually, which is a very interesting archetype because I can see triple Aqua teams working with your frontline Aqua using the Calcium Armor rune, with your midline Aqua using the Heart of the Ocean rune, and finally your backline using Hearty Warrior to get the max amount of HP and benefits from all those different runes. Now, the Bug runes really seem to focus on shield and a little bit of utility. First of all, we have the rune Collect and Protect. I think the draw is really important in the new Origins game, but I think the 30 shield might be a little bit underpowered for the rune. Overall though, I'm gonna give it a 9 out of 10 because of the draw. Shield Leecher, I think this is a very swingy kind of rune, so it will have a massive amount of value if you go up against a team that relies on shields. But if you're facing a team like the beasts that don't use any shield, this is basically a dead rune. So because of its inconsistency, I'm gonna give this rune a 6 out of 10. Sturdy fighter. Now this is what I'm talking about. Imagine having 60 shield on your bug. This will basically turn your attacks into double damage like Fury, but it's probably much easier to achieve. Then add on top of that cards like Square Teeth, which cost 0, deal 25 damage, and if you play it as an initial card, which means the first card of a turn, it already also deals bonus damage equal to your shield. So check out this combo. You use 2 leaf bugs, which gains you 30 shield per leaf bug when you draw them, which means that your Axie starts with 60 shield. You play Square Teeth as your first card, then for 0 cost, you're going to do 25 plus 60 plus another 60 with this rune, 145 damage for 0 cost. That is insane. Overall, I think if you design your Axies right and the team right, this is going to be a game-changing rune. 9 out of 10 for me. Then finally, we have Vault Builder, which as far as we understand, at the end of each turn, your hand goes to the discard pile. So if you have no banish cards, that means 9 cards per turn, which means at turn 1, it's gonna gain an additional 27 shield. However, on turn 2, you should have another 9 in your discard pile, which makes it 18 cards. But for now, I think 27 or 54 shield, it seems a little bit weak to me. So I'm giving this rune a 5 or 6 out of 10. As you can see, Bug class is all about that shield game, and I'm actually very excited to play Shield Bug instead of this annoying discard bug all the time. Now, before we get into the charms, it is time for the question of the day. And in this one, I'm asking you, which of the 3 archetypes of the day is your favorite so far? Are you into that aggro beast? Are you a control aqua player? Or are you into that shield bug game? Let me know in the description. There's the forms link, or just comment it. First of all, we have the charms that are shared between all the classes. We have the Charm of Power, which basically, if you have a Talisman 4, gives you 6 bonus attack on attacks, and if you have Talisman 5, it gives you 10 additional attacks. Next, however, we have Talisman of Vitality, which is shared by the Aqua and Beasts. Now, Talisman 4 gives 20 more max HP, Talisman 5 gives it 35 additional max HP. Bug does not have a Talisman of Vitality, it rather has the Talisman of Endurance, which gives it additional 6 shield on cards that give shield and an additional 10 shield if you use Talisman 5. Then all classes today have the Energy Drink Charm. Now Aqua and Beast both have the small Energy Drink Charm. Now Ethereal means that if you have the card in hand and you don't play it, it will get banished. I'm not 100% sure if you play the card if it also gets banished, but if it does, then that is quite weak when you compare it to the medium energy drink, which the Bug and Beast class have, which gives you 20% additional stats, but adds the banish tag to it. So I need more information on Ethereal. Overall, I think you should pick the medium energy. Now for the unique charms of this set, we first start with Aqua's Bubble Paste, which gives all your teammates 1 bubble. Now, bubble is a shield giving ability that never goes away. It's like a permanent shield. It blocks 5 damage from every attack to that Axie and can have a max stack of 3. When it has a stack of 3, it becomes Bubble Explosion, that when you attack with this Axie, the bubble explodes and deals 20 additional damage to all the opponent's Axies. Imagine this, you have 3 Aquas, all with the charm Bubble Paste. You immediately start the game with 3 Bubble Explosions, and in your first turn can do 60 additional damage to all the different Axies. I think this is probably something that should get nerfed. It sounds a bit insane to me, but let's wait and see. Next, we have the Mystic Aqua Rune, which is Paralyzed Jellyfish. If an Axie has Vulnerable, it will receive 20% more damage. The question I have though is, if you look at the other cards that apply Vulnerable, how does that stack? Suppose you enhance a card that already applies Vulnerable for 4 turns. Does that mean that Paralyzed Jellyfish makes it that it gets applied for 6 turns? Or does it mean that it now has 40% vulnerability instead of 20% more damage. I think in total though, if you apply this charm to a card that already applies vulnerable, nothing's going to happen. It won't stack, so I would recommend not trying that. Alright, jumping into the beast runes, we have the first epic rune, which is Mask of Frenzy. I think this is much weaker than Bubble, but imagine running a 3 beast team that all rely on rage to go into fury mode. Next, the Mystic Beast charm Hidden Razor will basically make your beast one of the Peaky Blinders. Now, if an Axie has bleed, that means it will lose 15 HP every time it plays a card. Yet again, I think this will work the same way as Vulnerable, where bleed does not stack, and you can't apply this basically to a card that already has the bleed apply effect, so just be wary of that. Next up is the epic bug rune Secret Cocoon, which gives any card the innate tag, which basically means it will start in your opening hand. Quite powerful in combo pieces decks, like I discussed with the Square Teeth combo. But then you have the Trickster charm, which basically enhances a card to draw an additional card when played. As I've said, I think card draw in this Axie Origins is going to be very important, so I think this is quite a strong rune and I would recommend using it. Alright everyone, thanks for watching. That's all from me today. Come back for tomorrow for day 3.